Welcome to the Craftsman Online Podcast, the only 5-star rated Masonic podcast endorsed by the Grand Lodge of New York. Any opinions, thoughts, or viewpoints shared during this program are that of the individual and do not reflect the official position of any Grand Lodge, appendant, or concordant body from which that member may hail. I'm your host, Brother Michael Arce, co-founder of CraftsmanOnline.com. A quick reminder is that you can now listen early and ad-free to our podcast with our new subscriber offer. Just click on the link in this show notes to start your free 7-day trial on us. You've joined us for an episode that I've been waiting quite a while to record, and I'm happy to bring in our guest, Worshipful Brother Kenneth Joel Ginn, who's the master at St. John's Lodge No. 1 in beautiful New York, New York. Welcome to the Craftsman Online Podcast.
Thank you very much, Brother Michael. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're here to talk about everyone's favorite topic, which is after dinner meals at Lodge. No, just kidding. We're going to have a guy in from St. John's. We're going to talk about the Washington Bible, as the George Washington Bible is the most significant artifact that is still in the hands of Freemasons. I'm so happy we were able to pull this episode together. I know there's a lot of coordinating on both sides, and this is probably the most asked question you get as master of this lodge, but have you gotten to touch the George Washington Bible?
Yes, I have, with gloves on, of course. As I've traveled with the Bible on numerous events, I've been able to carefully go through the Bible and read through it. When it's on display, it's usually closed, but there are some occasions when we will display the Bible open. When we do, we try to choose a different part of the Bible. We try to choose one with some of the steel engravings, but we don't want to keep it open at the same spot so that the minimum light that is there, it doesn't deteriorate the Bible more than is needed. Also, I do want to make a distinction. So this is the George Washington Inaugural Bible. Now, there's also the George Washington Masonic Bible. That's the Bible that George Washington took his oath on when he became a Mason. That was at Fredericksburg, Virginia. But ours is the George Washington Inaugural Bible, which was our altar Bible until George Washington placed his hand on it and took the oath of office, become our first president. Then it was the Inaugural Bible.
Kind of became a little special after that, yeah.
Yes.
And we're definitely going to get into the history of it. I've also seen the George Washington Family Bible, which is on display at the George Washington National Masonic Museum in Alexandria.
Right.
Which, when I walked in there, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the Washington Family Bible. Oh, it's not the Bible. So first, before we jump into the history and the origin story of the Inauguration Bible, I want to get into kind of some of the protocol that you were alluding to. You had joked about wearing the white gloves, trying to limit the exposure to sunlight or natural light. I'm guessing no touching, minimal handling. How did these protocols get developed over time? Because this is Masons we're talking about here. We aren't trained historians or archivists.
Well, we've gotten some advice from other curators. We've also purchased a replica Bible, which is just like it. It's like its sister Bible. And we were able to restore that. We took it to a restoration place, and they were able to take the pages because they were printed at the exact same time. So we were able to test the pages in that Bible to make sure that we could restore it and not damage it at the same time. Some Bibles that they've tried to take like a silk sheet and try to preserve the pages, but what you're doing is you're adding something that, if you one day you want to take it off, you're going to be stripping like a layer of the pages off. So you have to be very careful with how do you treat artifacts like this. And going to museums, I mean, these are some brilliant minds that have taught us how to best respect this valuable book.
Joel, I cringe. It's one of the things as a sideliner, anyone that's ever sat in lodge with me knows I'll do it in my home lodge afterwards. When a senior deacon goes up and roughs up the Bible or handles it like it's a magazine at his doctor's office, it drives me crazy. I'm like, these are sacred volumes of text, and most of them are very old and expensive, and you just gotta treat it like with baby hands. Like it's tough.
A few years ago, it was suggested that the best way we preserve it was to take it and put it in a sealed vacuum glass case. However, if we did that, then we would never be able to not only travel with it, but we couldn't use it as an altar Bible anymore because it would be in this case. So, I mean, it's in pretty good shape for its age. It's 253 years old. So
Wow.
it has gone through a lot of degrees, a lot of ceremonies, and it still looks great.
Let's get to this point. So, as you mentioned, this Bible is 253 years old. Is it safe to say the total amount of time that it was actually in George Washington's life or that he interacted with it was probably for just a handful of minutes during the inauguration?
Yes, that's about it. I mean, it was used in his funeral procession. That brief, probably what, a minute that it took to take the oath of office. Yeah.
Like everything else, especially in New York State, every time I think of George Washington, I think of the blue markers that we use in New York State to say George Washington was here or slept here or traveled here or did this here.
Right.
And thankfully there's no marker around the Bible. But
Right.
it is that significant to us. And you were beginning to tell the story, and I wanted to talk a little bit about protocol, but let's get to the history of this Bible. I've heard a couple competing versions. One was that Washington ordered that the Bible be brought to him. The other that seems to be more popular is that Washington said he couldn't take an important undertaking without having a Bible, and a Mason knew where he could locate one. What story tends to prevail here?
Yeah, there's another story that they forgot the Bible, and someone had to rush down to the closest place. The closest place was the Masonic Lodge, and they grabbed it, and they saved the day. Well, there's those stories, particularly that one. We've done a lot of research, and we really don't believe that to be true, because there's first that they forgot the Bible. I mean, from very preserved records from that first inauguration, we know every minute detail was planned for, even down to the number of bales of hay that were required for the horses. So it just seems odd that that they would not have like the details for a Bible. Now, our founding fathers, they made sure that there was a separation of church and state, and nowhere in the Constitution does it say that a president must be sworn in using a Bible. So legally, they were not required to use one. So there was really nothing to forget. So the fact that they did use a Bible, that had to be something that was very well planned out. And again, so that they did not, or they kept separate the church and state, it was good that they used a Masonic Bible. So it is a non-denominational Bible. It's not a Catholic Bible. It's not a Protestant Bible or from any church. And this way, no church could then say, oh, well, he took the oath of office on our Bible, so we are the Church of the United States, or we are the religion of the United States, which they didn't want at all. And as I said, they had very well-planned details about how the inauguration was going to take place. As far as the Bible being used, there's no real indication of how and why it was chosen. But if we look at the three men on the balcony, first there was George Washington. He was amazing. And then the gentleman who stood opposite him to administer the oath was Robert Livingston. Now, he was the Chancellor of New York, who was also the Grand Master of Masons of the state of New York at the time. And by the way, he was on the committee with Jefferson, Adams, Sherman, and Franklin to draft a Declaration of Independence. So he knew how to plan things. And the third gentleman who held the Bible was Jacob Morton, who was the current worship master of St. John's Lodge. And so on this special day in America, I don't think that Worshipful Morton, he was, by the way, he was Washington's aide de camp during the Revolutionary War. So I don't think that it was forgotten or it was a spur of the moment thing. I mean, I think even just those three men together, it was very well planned out.
Yeah. And what's also amazing too is because so many times in history, an important moment like that, especially, thinking of the Bible at the inauguration, it could have easily been discarded or just handed off to somebody and not filed away and just lost throughout time. But we're really lucky as a nation and as a craft to know that it was a Masonic Bible that was going to go safely back into the hands of the brothers at St. John's and then back to the lodge. Did it almost immediately get retired, or were they still using it as their altar Bible?
No, it was still used as the altar Bible. And it wasn't until several years later when the brothers of the lodge, they were like, maybe we should get another Bible for the altar Bible and keep this artifact of our nation's history, maybe not use it as much. And so we do have another Bible that we use as our altar Bible for our regular meetings and for first and second degrees. But for the third degree, we do have the brothers to be raised on that Bible.
Wow. Okay. That's another part I want to get into, but so others do get to touch it, because I think probably retiring it as an altar Bible could have probably fallen around the same time when other men who had risen to the rank of president of the United States and they were about to be inaugurated said, hey, I want to put my hand on the same book that George Washington did. I want to take my oath of office on his Bible. And then calls would have come out to the lodge. I can see that kind of intersecting where the lodge goes, hey, we have something kind of significant here to American history. For me, I didn't really learn about the Washington Bible as a brother. I learned about it growing up as a kid and hearing when the inaugurations would come out that this president had requested to either, I think three that are pretty popular. There's the Washington Bible, the Lincoln Bible, and then usually they'll also have like a family Bible of, that man's family that they bring and use.
Right.
What is the process when that happens? We have an election that's coming up here soon. Are you guys like on all ears paying attention, and then there's some sort of official communication that comes from the White House, or how do they coordinate that?
We just simply sit back and wait until the election's over, and then we send out a communication to the president-elect and say, we have, in our possession, the George Washington Inaugural Bible, and it is available for you to use. And it's a very simple request, and we've had 5 presidents to use the Bible, and we had George W. Bush. He requested the Bible, but because it was sleeting outside, the Bible was kept in the Capitol building, and another Bible was used. And then he went inside, but his father used it. Harding, Eisenhower, and Carter also used the Bible.
Many future presidents, because of your excellent job of being caretakers of the Bible, will have the opportunity to use it. I want to talk about kind of the security or the protection of the brothers that surrounds the Bible. I'm thinking it's got to be like if the Bible was a person, it would have its own Secret Service detail.
Yes.
What goes into it? Do brothers volunteer for this? I'm sure it's an honor to be a caretaker of the Bible.
It is. It's a great honor, and it comes with a lot of respect, and it's something we don't take lightly. This Bible was here before any of us were thought about, and God willing, it's going to be here long after we're gone. So we are just the curators of the Bible. And I can't get into so much of the security of the Bible, but when a request is made and we confirm it, we vet them, we vote on it as a lodge, and we go through all the process. So once we say, yes, we're going to go to this event, whichever event it is, then we will contact the host and we will sort of plan out where the Bible is going to be at all times, when it's going to be on display, when it's not going to be on display, at night, where it's going to be stored. Is it a secured location? If not, we'll change the location. So the Bible traveling committee, they have full authority to have to pivot on a dime if they need to. They make sure that the Bible is safe at all times. A couple of times, more than one occasion, the Bible has been in jail overnight. It was
Okay.
yes, we had to incarcerate the Bible, but it was the safest place we had. And we checked it out, and we were like, who has keys to this cell? Who has keys to this room? And it was all safe. And so it was like, okay, this we'll keep it here.
I'm just imagining like pulling up to the police or the sheriff's department or wherever, and yeah, we got the George Washington Inaugural Bible. And how do you prove that? Like, here's the certificate of authentication right here. I want to talk about, we had hit on the security of the Bible and locking it up overnight if need be in a jail room cell. There have been times when the safety of the Bible, I'm sure, has been also in jeopardy by just unforeseen events. One of the stories that I had heard from a brother that was there that day was during September 11th, when so many things were happening in New York City and people had concerns.
Yes.
And somebody thought of the security of the Bible. Are you familiar with that story?
Yes. The Bible was on loan at an exhibition at Francis Tavern, downtown Manhattan. And so when that horrific event took place, we had to get the aid and assistance of not only NYPD, but a couple of federal agencies as well, to get us access to go down there and retrieve the Bible.
I can only imagine the phone calls and the conversations, but also the quick understanding from the people on the scene that just knew that it being such an important item in our history, which is something else I wanted to talk with you about, that we're talking about this as Freemasons, and this is still an item that belongs to a lodge. It would almost be like, and God forbid we don't want this to ever happen, but if you sold it to a private collector, this would now be their property. How significant is it that it's still in the hands of Freemasonry, and how have you avoided having a government or a preservation or a national league come in and say, we need to be the caretakers of this very important item?
Well, I mean, it belongs to the lodge, and I think it's beautiful that it's still in the possession of St. John's Lodge Number 1. People have wanted to do things like that, to repossess it. I mean, who would not like this Bible in their library?
Right.
The Smithsonian has offered to take care of it for us, so to speak. And it's like, thank you very much. It's a very generous offer for you to take care of it for us, but we'll keep it, and thank you very much.
Right.
And it is a good gesture, and I can understand them wanting it, and other people and agencies and groups as well. I mean, who wouldn't want it? But it's our altar Bible, and we still use it as an altar Bible. So, I mean, it's very important that we do that we keep it within St. John's Lodge. If you want to, if someone would like on loan for, like it was on loan at the U.S. Capitol building, it's usually kept at Federal Hall as well. It was on loan at New York Historical Society. So we are not against it being on loan. And as a matter of fact, we'd like for it to travel, because there's a lot of people, especially kids, they're not able to come to New York or these places to see the Bible. So when we're able to travel to the different states, then we're able to take this wonderful artifact of the United States to them. And for me, it's really wonderful to see their faces, because there is a beautiful energy with this Bible. And I've shown it to people. They've come up, even curators who know not to touch it. And, we'll remind them, please don't touch it. Oh, yeah, sure. Yes, we know. And they become mesmerized, and you see their eyes. Everyone who visits the Bible, they have a personal connection with that Bible at that moment. And you will see their hand just involuntarily start to reach up and touch it. It's almost like they're in a trance and they're in their own world and they're having their own moment with the Bible. And then I'll wait till it gets to a certain point. I was like, excuse me. And then they will jump back like a bolt of electricity just pass through their body, and they will apologize profusely. I'm like, no apology necessary. But that is the magical energy with this artifact. It's amazing. And I've seen it. I've seen it time and time again. It's not just one occasion. It's like nearly every time we have the Bible on display. I mean, we always have to have one or two brothers standing right there by the Bible because of things like that. Not that anyone necessarily will want to do harm with it. It's just that the magic of this Bible is just almost intoxicating, the way it mesmerizes people. I mean, it mesmerizes me. Every time I pick it up, I feel the energy.
I can only imagine. I mean, it's 253, you said 253 years old?
Yes. Well, actually, the printing was 3 years before. So it was printed in 1767, but it was given to the lodge in 1770.
So it's old.
Yeah.
And it travels more than most people do, it seems. Does the Bible have like a unofficial or maybe a nickname that you can share with us? Like, I know that the presidents all get a call sign when they get to the office. Does the Bible have one?
One nickname is the Two Georges. To give you a little history about Bibles, back in the colonial period, it was illegal for anyone here in America to print a Bible. And it was illegal for anyone in England to print a Bible because there had been several cases to where printers, let's say they didn't check their work. There was one particular Bible called the Adultery Bible. So in the 10 Commandments, they didn't put in the word not. And it said, thou shalt commit adultery.
Wow.
And the king was not happy with that.
Yeah.
The king had one printer, and there was one family designated to do any printing of the Bible. And after King James I authorized the King James Version, that was under the copyright of the crown. So then that family, every year, they would pay a sum for the privilege of printing the Bible. And that sum would go to the royal crown. And that's where one of the origins of the word royalties comes from, is from that payment to the crown for the use of the copyrighted Bible.
So it literally is the best-selling book of all time. I love that, the Two Georges.
Yeah. So because it was owned by the crown, there is a picture in the Bible of King George III. And so when we became the United States of America, or I should say the brothers at the time, even though they didn't really like having King George in there, they couldn't really take it out because that would be taking out a page of the Bible. So what they did is they inserted a page. So they took the same type of paper and they have a picture of George Washington that is directly opposite the picture of King George III. And George Washington, he's a little taller in the picture than King George. So we're able to keep King George didn't desecrate the Bible or anything, but we added President Washington in there to commemorate that beautiful event in our history. And so that's how it's the Two Georges.
I love this story. This is way cooler than spending the night in jail. Like, History Channel, eat your heart out. Like, I love that they did that.
Yeah.
When you talked about the majesty of the Bible, and I can see it as a majestic token, and some of that has to go back to the story of that at the inauguration for George Washington, it was randomly open for a page for his oath of office. He allegedly kissed the Bible. When it comes to requests of people that you open for, you handle the Bible for, is that the page that they ask for, or are there other popular pages that they just want to see?
Oh, yeah, a lot of people do want to see that page because he put his hand on one side of the Bible where the text is. It was the pages that was open to, on one side is text, the other side is the still engravings. And so he put his hand on the text side, and then he kissed the other side that had that. And because it has been open there so much throughout the years, when it's on display, it's never displayed in that position. Because also it's at the beginning of the Bible, so it puts a little stress on the binding. So we don't want to do that. We do have cushions to help support it. We try to open it in the middle, and we try to find one of the still engravings so that people can see the text, and they can also see where the some of the still engravings by John Stewart. And yeah, so we try to open it up at a different place. But yeah, people want to see that page. And so what I will try to do is, while I'm opening to display, I will open up to that page to those that are lucky enough to be standing right there. And I'll be like, this is where it happened. This is where he put his hand. This is where he kissed. And then I will continue to go to a random place within the Bible.
Okay. And just because I'm a Mason, I'm extremely curious about this part.
Yeah.
What is the relevancy of that biblical text? You must know chapter and verse, or the page number at least.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about what part of the Bible story is on that page?
Well, again, we don't know for sure, like from President Washington's notes or anything, why he wanted that passage. But it was open to Genesis chapters 49 and 50. And in chapter 49, it's Jacob blessing his 12 sons. And that is really significant to the United States at that time.
13 colonies, yeah.
Yep. And New York was the capital of the United States. So you had the capital, New York, with the 12 other states as well. So that was the one in the 12 to make 13. So that is what we have come up with. But there is nothing that has been written down from that day. What we do have is the dog-eared page. So Livingston, after the ceremony, before they closed the Bible, he dog-eared that page. And you can still see the very slight crease in the page where he dog-eared it to make sure that we always knew that was the page.
That is so cool. I feel like I'm seeing it and getting a tour of the Bible without it being in the room or around. And I know, Joel, you had kind of outlined the protocol for requesting it. There's an etiquette that goes into requesting the Bible to come and visit, and the brothers decide. How about you? Are you open to traveling? Do members of your lodge get invited across the country to speak about the Bible?
Yes, absolutely. I'd be happy to travel and give a lecture on the Bible. It's just a way of being able to share this wonderful artifact with other people. I'm also a tour guide of the Grand Lodge of New York. So I love being able to bring people in and introducing them to Masonry and to show our beautiful building and to be able to enlighten them that, we're not such a secret, society. We have our flag waving in front. We're here to take good men and make them better.
Yep. And I love when that light gets lit outside. It's like the bat light right out there on the Avenue of Americas.
Right.
This has been the Craftsman Online Podcast. Again, thank you to my guest, worshipful brother Kenneth Joel Ginn, for coming on. Thanks again, Brother Joel.
Thank you, Brother Michael. God bless.
If you've enjoyed this episode and you want to hear more, you can tell Siri or Alexa to play the Craftsman Online Podcast. We're available on all streaming platforms with new episodes every Monday morning. And a reminder, you can listen to future episodes early and ad-free with our subscriber offer. Get the link to start your 7-day free trial in the show notes for this episode. Until next time, let peace and harmony prevail.